When I came back, the entire pizza was gone, aside from one slice. Oh, so you're saying people want to lose their hands? Because if you touch my food, I'm sorry, there's just no way around it. I gotta take your hands. Hey, what's up guys, it's Breezy Reads, back with another YouTube video for you all. Have you ever witnessed a parent demanding special treatment or acting as if the world revolves around their child? Well, if so, look no further than the subreddit Entitled Parents, where people share their wild encounter with entitled parents, from demanding free stuff to expecting the world to revolve around them. These stories will shock and entertain you, so sit back, relax, and get ready to hear some of the craziest stories from the Entitled Parents subreddit. Stop pressing the button. I was on the bus a few weeks back, leaving work and going home, and on the bus was two girls, maybe 12, 13, sprawled out on opposite seats, looking like absolute trouble. I paid them no mind and sat in a free seat behind them, put my earphones in, and started daydreaming out the window. Within 5 minutes, I realized why the girls looked like absolute trouble. For the next 3 stops, they would press the stop button. Obviously, the bus would then stop, nobody would get off. It was annoying. I just finished work, I wanted to go home. Not only that, but imagine how irritated the bus driver must feel. So when they did it for the 4th time, I pulled out my earphone and said to the girl in front of me, "Is this your stop?" She immediately looked startled that she'd been caught out. No. Then stop pressing the button. It's annoying. I was then confronted by their mother. It's not your job to tell them off. Try talking to the parents first. I'm not an angry person, but the utter rage I felt was unreal. Maybe if you did your job as a parent, strangers wouldn't have to intervene. Oh my gosh. She didn't like that. She went utter batshit over being called out on her shit parenting. Luckily, a few other passengers agreed and stuck up for me, forcing the mother to shut up. The mother and her girls got off the bus 6 stops later. Had I even known she was a parent, I would have said something to her first, but she was practically ignoring the girls, playing on her phone the entire bus ride. Honestly, the cheek of some people. Honestly, if the mom's not doing her job, I don't think it's unfair for strangers to intervene. You gotta step up as a parent. If you're not gonna step up, then other people are gonna do it for you, especially if your kids are being little shits. My parents told me I'm the reason our sheep died. This dates back a couple years ago, so I, female 20, am responsible to take care of our sheep. We have a small herd of 13 sheep and we keep them to keep the grass short. One morning, my dad found one of our sheep dead. The weird thing about that was, she was outside the fence. We have no idea how she got there. I really suspect that there was a human or a bigger animal involved. As I came back from school, they told me that she is dead, and they told me that I'm the reason she's dead, because I would not take care of them good enough. I spend over an hour every day to take care of them and deeply love them. We had a very heavy fight about this, and it happened twice after this when a sheep died because of age. After that, they finally realized that it wasn't my fault and that it sometimes happens that an animal dies. I'm still traumatized because of this, and the guilt is still in me even though I know now that it wasn't my fault. It's so deeply rooted that last time I found a dead sheep, I started to cry and panic because I thought they would accuse me again of being the reason the sheep is dead. This wasn't even one of the worst things they did. There are so many more stories. Being accused of something you had no hand in has to be one of the worst things ever. Like there's just a gaping pit in your stomach that you can't get rid of because of it. And I feel for you, girl. I feel for you. And next time your parents try to pull some sort of stunt like this on you, tell them to shove it up their ass. The first time I heard Dad swear. This happened a few decades ago when I was a wee lad of 11. Yeah, I'm old. Backstory. Dad was an English professor and also raised horses. Arabians to be specific. We lived in the Midwest on a 10-acre spread next to cattle ranches and such. Dad was the kind of guy who taught me to be kind, never swear in front of a lady, open doors for people, etc., etc. Most of these things stuck with me throughout my life, except for the swearing. One day, a Saturday I believe, a couple of local girls around 12 came over and rang the bell. Dad answered the door and they asked if they could ride our horses. Of course, he politely said no. He couldn't do that and closed the door. Imagine the liability issues if they fell off and hurt themselves. Also, Arabians tend to be high-strung and not too accommodating to inexperienced riders, except for a couple we owned who were total patient sweethearts. And that was that, right? Nope, or I wouldn't be posting this. Not more than half an hour later, the doorbell chimes again. I'm in the living room watching TV with my dad, and he answers the door. Standing on our front porch are the two girls again and someone who I took to be the entitled Nana, Ian for short. Dad: "Hello, what can I get for you?" Ian: "My granddaughters would like to ride your horses." Dad, clearly puzzled: "I can't do that." Ian: You don't even have to pay them much. Dad: what? Ian: for exercising your horses. They'll do it for $2 an hour. Pretty cheap if you ask me. Dad, clearly holding in his temper: I'm sorry, ma'am, but that isn't happening. I have to decline. Ian: but your horses can use the exercise and we have the time. Dad: this is not a discussion. Then he does something I've never seen before. Closes the door in Ian's face mid-retort. I'm standing there dumbstruck and Dad is staring off in space. Slowly he says, "What the F?" If Monkey started climbing out of his butt, I wouldn't have been more surprised. Dad slowly turns and sees my 11-year-old self standing there with my mouth open. He gives a sheepish grin and says, "Please don't tell your mother." He took me out for Dairy Queen later on, and I've been holding on to this for over 40 years. He's gone now, but I can feel him laughing over my shoulder as I write this. Oh, well, even though y'all had to deal with those entitled people, it seems like it was a great little bonding experience for y'all to remember. I'm sorry to hear for your loss, but it sounds like it was a great memory for you. My entitled sister. I know an entitled parent, and sad to say, she is my sister-in-law. She grew up doing whatever she wanted without consequence, so she's irresponsible. Her irresponsibility led to her having a kid and health problems. It was 2017. My wife and her family were kicked out of their house, and she had no choice but to live with her entitled sister. Entitled sister said she could stay there rent-free since my wife didn't have a job at the time. At this time, she was only my girlfriend and about 18. There really wasn't enough room for my wife, so she had to sleep on the living room floor. During her time there, entitled sister would complain about everything, including my wife's stuff being on the floor, as if she had anything on the floor other than a blanket. She could never sleep because of all the noise in the mornings, and entitled sister reaching over her to get her daughter's stuff. Even after waking up, she would fold her blanket so that it were out of the way, but no matter what my wife did, ES would still complain. While my wife was there, I was working, and I would stay over often to help her with the stress ES and her family would give her. I may have only stayed the night there twice a week since my wife didn't have a job yet. She would ask her dad for some money so she could have food to eat each week. Every few weeks he would give her $100 and she would spend wisely. Eventually ES told my wife that she had to start paying rent to stay there. My wife still doesn't have a job so she can't pay rent. ES's boyfriend said, "You get $100 from your dad, use that to pay rent." And then ES said that I had to pay rent too. My wife told her, "But he doesn't live here." ES replied, "But he sleeps here." We couldn't argue about it because if you'd seen the previous post, you'd know she'll turn everyone against us. So ES started getting rent from us, even though we were supposedly family. I'm only happy my wife isn't living there anymore. She moved out the first chance she could. Rent wouldn't be a bad thing if they talked about it beforehand, but because they didn't and she sprung it up on her, and she has no job, no money, no income of any sort, it's really tough for her, and I can't believe she did that. You know, especially being her sister and all, y'all are supposed to help each other out, and she just kinda kicked her to the curb. Pizza thieves. This is gonna be a short story, but I'm pretty upset, so I wanted to share here. I, 21 female, still live with my family because of high rent in my city, and I dropped out of high school to work when I was around 16, so my job options are pretty limited. Recently, I've been saving up little money I have. Yesterday, I decided to order a pizza for a treat. I also ordered a bigger pizza so I can eat leftovers later. I usually put my pizza in the oven at home because I like it to be crunchy. Anyways, I was waiting for the oven to heat up and left the pizza on the counter and went to the living room. When I came back, the entire pizza was gone aside from one slice. My parents didn't ask to have any, and I would have shared if they did. I wasn't upset at first, but they were rude to me when I asked what happened to it. They basically blamed me for saying I wasn't going to eat it all, I'm under their roof, etc. I'm honestly furious now about it all. I didn't even eat the one slice left. Update, I ordered myself a burrito now after all this. Had to have a happy ending here. I'm not gonna lie, I understand the rage because eating my food is an offense punishable by death, so I definitely get it. Thanks for joining me today as we delved into the wild and sometimes wacky world of entitled parents. From overbearing moms and dads to downright outrageous demands, this subreddit never fails to amaze me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all my latest content. And if you have any entitled parent stories of your own, be sure to put them in the comments below. Until next time, take care and keep on scrolling.